Let's bring in Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz to give us his assessment of the last 4 or 5 days. Wow, Congressman, wow. That her report, that primetime fumbling of, hey, I'm okay, watch, and then he fumbles it. What are they going to do? What do you think they're going to do on the left?
I don't think we're having much of a discussion of 4 more years. Let's just look at the next 4 days. We've heard the White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre say that in the next 4 days, Joe Biden has 0 public events. 0 things happening. There's literally more programming going on in the dementia wing at every assisted living facility in Florida than there is at the White House right now. And you've got this special counsel report saying that the reason Joe Biden was not charged for his violations of federal criminal law, which were intentional and recorded because he cooperated with his own government. Wow, really give it to him there, cooperating with your own government. And then they're arguing that his brain is too rotted out to be held responsible for those violations of federal criminal law. So most Americans are probably right to ask, if you can't be held responsible for your violations of the law, should you have, I don't know, the nuclear codes or all of the exquisite powers of the presidency to protect our troops and to lead our country? It's no wonder we're seeing this rising inflation, this listlessness around the world. Joe Biden is obviously a man in decline, and I don't believe that we ought to have to join him in that decline. But there's another tell here, Eric. I came on your program January of 2023, and I said that I believed this document case would be the basis that the deep state would use to replace Biden.
Well, I'll tell you what
you
we'll
boldly
do.
predicted he won't be the nominee. Here's the tool.
Let's do it. Let's take a look. Let's play that.
I have a different take on the document scandal than many. I actually think the deep state has figured out that Joe Biden isn't going to win the 2024 election against any Republican that's nominated, and they just prefer to take him out right now.
I agree with you. I've said this from the beginning. This isn't a mistake by Biden. This is the insiders who are realizing that he can't win, and they're bouncing him before 2024. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, sir.
No, we all know that the real shot caller in the Biden White House is Ron Klain, and I don't think that it's somehow a coincidence that right aligned with these new discoveries of documents, Ron Klain is leaving. I think he's a professional operator and is getting out of the White House as they send somebody else in to tidy up the Biden presidency and put a bow on it and get ready for their next generation of leadership.
I think they do it, Matt. Do you think they wait till the convention and go for it? What's the plan? What are they doing?
This is the dispositive proof that if people watch the balance, they will actually be able to see the future. Exactly what we described there is what's happening. But the reason they've had to wait from then until now is the deep state doesn't want to mess with the formalities of primaries or caucuses. They just want to be able to install their preferred choice at the convention. And so they've got to plant these opportunities for themselves to discredit Biden through this report. But then they can't have it all dissolve now, because you would have people like Newsom and Whitmore and all them getting into the contest. At the end of the day, isn't it going to be pretty hard for them to jump over Kamala Harris? I mean, she's the vice president. Some believe that it's actually her incompetence that functions as some sort of insurance policy for Biden, because it would be hard to skip her. But I think it'll put the Democrats in a lot of disarray. This notion they're going to cleanly come around Michelle Obama or Newsom, I don't know if I buy it. Very
precarious position. By the way, you mentioned Karine Jean-Pierre saying that he has nothing on his schedule tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, but also noting right before that, and I'm quoting her, President Biden does more in 1 hour than most people do in a day. And then they were asked, she's got nothing for the next four days on his schedule. Listen to James Carville. Carville's brilliant. I mean, not like him. He got Bill Clinton elected. Brilliant guy. But listen to his assessment of what's going to happen with Biden.
You don't accept the Super Bowl interview. You're, I don't know, pulling averages. You're 3 points down in a two-way. It's the biggest television audience, not even close, and you get a chance to do a 20, 25-minute interview on that day, and you don't do it. That's a kind of sign that the staff or yourself doesn't have much confidence in you. There's no other way to read this. And he's not going to do debates. He is old.
That last part specifically, Congressman, not going to do debates. If you have Trump versus Biden, how do they get around that? They don't have COVID to hide behind anymore.
you've covered the polling. When 86% of the American people believe you're too old to be president, you have to do something to reverse that trend or you're going to lose. Probably the deep state know that. That's why they're knifing him. But certainly like James Carville proving himself to have more vitality than Joe Biden doesn't exactly present the best comparison for the president. And like this guy's got historically bad poll numbers, okay? At this time in a presidency, there's almost no one in modern history who's had poll numbers this low. And then for his staff to believe that he can only make them worse shows you how bad things have gotten. And think about it this way. If they can't trust Joe Biden to do a softball Super Bowl interview today in 2024, like what do you think this vintage is going to look like in 2027 or 2028?
I just want to know how they get around. How did they get around? There's a a commission on presidential elections, and they're going to propose some dates for debates. What's their excuse? What could they possibly come up with? What, Trump's under indictment, so they won't debate someone under indictment? Is that what's going to be?
Yeah, I think there'll be some basis. I don't believe that Joe Biden will debate. I mean, again, if he can't do a Super Bowl interview, I certainly don't think he can stand up for 90 minutes with President Trump. And so there'll be some basis of emergency or, I don't know, if we're facing some other contagion that they say will block it. But I have no expectation that Joe Biden's going to participate in the debates. But it won't really matter, right? Because America lives on split screen. And when you've got Trump doing these energetic hour-long speeches, high-fiving, hanging out with folks, and you've got like Karine Jean-Pierre saying you're not going to see Joe Biden for the next 4 days, it will present an obvious contrast on strength versus weakness, energy versus decline, progress versus a real reversal in America's fortune and in our destiny to succeed.
Yeah, I would love to have seen him in that interview. They can't have him sitting in one place. We looked at the Super Bowl ad. I just ran the Super Bowl ad that they put up yesterday, and there was 13 or 14 jump cuts, meaning he gets a word or two out, and then they cut to another angle. But what it is he's flubbing lines, and they have to put this thing, to cobble it together. That's Weekend at Bernie's if I've ever seen it. Speaking of Super Bowl, Congressman, I was on Twitter hanging out, or X, whatever we call it, and I noticed you said you weren't going to watch the Super Bowl. You weren't going to let your wife watch the Super Bowl. Did you watch the big game?
I did not, and I'll be straight with you. It was the whole Black national anthem thing, and call me old-fashioned, but I think we are one nation under one God with one flag. We are one people. We rise and fall together, and there's so much about corporate wokeism and like this new kind of push for social justice that to me is just divisive. So I don't blame people who watch the game. It's all good. I'm probably more a fan of college sports than professional sports, but I spent the day doing some cleaning around the house. I was vacuuming and sweeping up while everybody was taking their Taylor shots or whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what, I watched the game. It was a great game. Chiefs crushed it, and then they blew this after thing, after the game where Travis Kelce is screaming Las Vegas and Taylor Swift is chugging beer. That was just too much for me. Had to leave it there. Congressman, really good having you on. Matt Gaetz, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, my friend. Take it easy.